Hey everyone, I hope you guys are doing amazing. So this video is going to be for you ladies, okay? And I'm going to speak to you about embracing your femininity, okay? And why, oftentimes in modern society, especially in the Western world and now the Eastern world too, a lot of us ladies don't embrace our femininity, right? And there are many, many different factors for that, and I will mention them at a later time in the video, right? Well, today we're going to talk about the importance of embracing your feminine energy as a female, right? And how it can benefit you and how it can, benefit our society in general, you know? So so the first question that we will ask is, what is making you act masculine? Okay. And well, there are many different reasons why women often act masculine, right? Or women operate in their masculine energy more so than they do in their feminine energy, right? Because at the end of the day, both sexes have a male and a female energy, right? And but for the most part, right, women tend to or should operate more in their feminine energy in comparison to the masculine energy, right? Just like guys should operate mainly or more in their masculine energy than in their feminine energy, right? When that balance is off, right, then the person in question, male or the female, they end up suffering, right? And they often end up very unhappy. So anyway, so back to the question, right? So what is making you act more masculine, right, as a female? Well, first of all, guys, it's the hustle culture, right, and the modern society. Because we are so busy with our lives, right? Because especially in the Western world, right, it is so incredibly difficult to survive, to make ends meet, that often women have to overwork, right? They have to have two jobs often just to make it, right? That's the hustle. That's what hustle culture is all about, right? Is having multiple streams of income from various jobs, right? And so that if you add all of that work into an entire week, it can end up, adding up to 80 hours per week, right? So if you're working that amount of time, I mean, why would you think that? If you're always hustling, right? If you're always in this productive, go get it mode, right? Then what makes you think that you even have room to be in your feminine energy? You don't, right? Because most, the feminine energy is all about being passive, right? It's about receiving. It's about having a relaxed nervous system, right? It's about just being, right? And in that state of being, we become more creative, right? We become, our sex drive increases, right? We just feel more playful, and we want to, color the world, right? So just think of feminine energy as, I'll give you a very good example of that, right? So think of it as like the masculine energies is like one time, right? I went to this really huge party, and it was on Star Island, right, in Miami. And I remember just going into this mansion, right? And there was this huge mansion, and that's where the party was, right? And I remember going in and thinking about how it was so empty inside, It was owned by a male, I think, surgeon. I think he was a surgeon, right? And I just remember thinking, like, this place has no soul, it has no color, it doesn't feel cozy, right? And so just think of feminine energy as creating that coziness. And adding that color, adding life to things, right? To a home, right? So a home without that feminine energy will feel cold and uninviting and just too um, too plain and boring and uninviting, basically, right? And so that's what, feminine energy does, right? So another thing about operating, what is making you act more masculine, right, is having no support, no real support network, and also having no friends. As females, we tend to communicate a lot, right, and share our feelings, and having that girl bond is, I think it's very important, right? And so when that's not there, like, it makes it more difficult to kind of express yourself. Of course, there are other means that where you can do that, right? Such as like starting like a journal or something, right? But I'm talking about like no real life, like heart-to-heart conversations, right? With other females who kind of relate and understand you. So that can also be the reason why you're acting more masculine, more closed off, right? And because you don't have anyone to share those feelings with, right? You don't have anyone to kind of like let it. Another issue with becoming overly masculine, right, or beginning to operate more in your masculine energy is having a partner that is too feminine, right? Having a partner that won't take charge, and having a partner that is too passive, right? So that's one of the biggest issues today is guys have become way too passive, way too feminine, basically, right? So a lot of guys are not stepping up, basically, right? They're not acting like men, right? They're not operating in their dominant masculine energy as they should, technically, right? One of the women I've just recently heard about this, right? And she said, if he won't put his big pants on, right, big boy pants on, then I will have to do it for him, and of course this will make me feel more masculine, right, as I'm doing what needs to be done, right? And so this kind of dynamic, right, not only does it make a woman feel less less trusting and confident with the guy that she's with, but it also makes her feel overly stressed out. It puts too much burden on her because she has to be the man in the relationship, right? And it does not like make her feel good, because at the end of the day, trust me, guys, on this, most women, they just wanna, they want to relax, they want to be the woman, right? And they want to trust that the guy will be the protector and the provider in a relationship, and that she doesn't have to do that job, right? But yes, so of course, another reason why, females are acting more masculine, right, is because of unhealed wounds too, okay? And I will get into that a little bit later in this video. So guys, why is it not healthy for a woman to operate in mainly her masculine energy? Well, you guys, because it does not feel good. It stresses her out, right? She becomes less playful, right? The joy of life just gets sucked out of her, right? Also, I noticed that, you know, when I operate mainly in my masculine energy, I threaten other men around me, okay? So instead of admiring me, right? Instead of, I don't know, flirting with me or smiling at me, right? They end up competing with me. And that's the last thing that I want. But that's what happens, actually. The funny thing is with energy, right, is that based on in which energy you're operating in, right, whether masculine or feminine, your relationships with others will also be affected, right? So you will either be perceived as a threat, right, or competition by other men, or you will, attract them and they will smile at you and they will flirt with you and ask you out, right? So really, it's extremely crazy, I know, but that's how energy works, and women in their like going mode, right? Like if you're mainly in your masculine energy and you're constantly on the go, you will just get so tired. Um, you won't feel like a woman, basically, right? That you are. You will not feel like yourself, like a woman, and you will just not feel good about that, And I've heard this many times from women, especially from single moms, right? Because we have to do it all, basically, right? We have to be the man, kind of, and be the woman, right? We have to be nurturing, but at the same time, we have to be firm, right? So and of course, we're for the most part always on the go, right? Unless we kind of like outsource a lot of activities or a lot of things that are necessary, right, to get the job done, right? So I often hear this from single mothers, and because they have to do it all, because they have to kind of play the role of two parents, right? They end up being overly tired, they end up being exhausted, right? Because at the end of the day, really, parenting, it's really not a job for a single person, right? It's not a job for one person. Even though, yes, of course, you might be able to do it all. You might be a great parent, right? Even as a single parent, still it's not easy, right? Sometimes, and so a lot of times women in these positions, or men, right? Maybe single parents, like single guys, right? Single dads, people in these positions, or women in particular, of course, because I'm talking about women in this video, right? They end up being, just doing too much, right? And because the natural state of a female is to be, right, to receive, to be present, right, to be playful, to relax, right, to be relaxed. Um, you know, Basically she's not in that mode, because she's got so much on her plate and so many things to do, right? Things that technically a guy should be taking care of, right? I've heard from a lot of moms, one of them, she was complaining to me. She was like, listen, I don't know why, I don't feel like a woman at all, I just feel overly masculine, and of course, I agreed with her, and I sympathized with her because I understood where she was coming from. She is a single parent, and yeah, you have, you always have to do, basically, right? So yeah. Anyway, so another point, right? I mean, another question, right? Why might you be consciously or unconsciously suppressing your femininity, right? So the first thing that came to mind when I wrote this question down is, you might be, afraid of the power and the tension that this gets you. Anyways, I will talk about Marilyn Monroe, right? Whenever she was feeling really attractive, and whenever she just kind of became more, how should I say it? Whenever she consciously decided to be in that feminine energy, right? She became Marilyn Monroe. She would attract like constant crazy attention, right, from guys, and everyone just wanted to know who she was, and just people were really, really attracted to her, right? And then she said that she could just turn it off like a switch, right? Which I completely agree with her. I can do the same, right? We all can, I think, right? And she said whenever she turned that off, right? I guess she switched to the masculine. She became Norma again, right? And nobody even looked at her. Everyone just completely ignored her, and it's like she was invisible, basically, right? So I think that's what she was talking about when she was talking about that she was referring to her feminine energy, right? So sometimes, guys, with this, right, what happens is that you get too much attention, right? You get too much unwanted attention, right? Maybe you get stalked, right? Maybe you start getting harassed, right? And so for women, right, it can be very dangerous. So women, we as women, we have a lot of power, much more power than we realize, right? And when that power is consciously used, it can attract a lot of unwanted and unneeded, unnecessary attention, right? So I think that's why also a lot of women don't operate in that energy. I know that was the case for me. Okay, so also women are kind of like trained to be masculine too, right? Especially in the Western world or in the professional business world, right? The reason being is because, feminine, right? In this patriarchal society, being feminine, being a female is like a disability, right? It's not favored, right? Masculine traits are favored, especially in the work environment, right? In the business setting, in the corporate world, right? So females naturally gravitate away from that, right? So they become more dominant, more masculine, so they can be taken more seriously at work by other people. Okay, I know that I did this too when I was in a work setting, right? So I would kind of repel that masculine attention, right? So I would be taken more seriously, but I don't think that's the necessarily the right way to go about it, right? But yeah, sometimes it's like a defense mechanism for a lot of females. So, anyways, what else? And also, right, why you might be suppressing your femininity is because you're unconsciously rejecting your femininity, okay? So unconscious rejection of your femininity could have a lot to do with, your mother, right? So maybe your mother was abusive, emotionally, physically, in every way, right? Maybe she was a narcissist, a psychopath, or a person with a personality disorder, right? So you will unconsciously, if she was highly feminine, for example, right, or she seemed to be, right, you would probably reject a lot of those aspects, right? So if she liked pink, you would probably hate it, right? You'll end up rejecting it. If she wore overly feminine dresses, then you will probably do the opposite, right? And wear pants, right? And so on, right? Basically, it has to do with like, rejecting all of the feminine things that your mother did, right? And that's like an unconscious way for you to kind of say to yourself, okay, I'm going to be different, right? I'm not going to be like my mother because she's this vicious person that I do not want to look up to, right? And so you end up like rejecting a lot of the things that were feminine. I know that I did this personally, and I just remember. I'll give you an example, right? When I was on the track team, I just remember like so many girls on our track team, right, were just like very feminine, right? They would just wear their hair and get ribbons and all this stuff, right? They would paint their faces and so I just remember, looking at them and thinking that they were just completely nuts and that, instead of focusing on like the running, the work itself, right, and accomplishing their goals, right, which is kind of very masculine in nature, right, I would say. So I was always in this constant like go, go, go mode, right, and achieving, right, and just like, like I said, I was overly masculine, I would say. I was operating in my masculine energy. So I thought that these girls were a joke, basically, right? And I just looked down on them in a way, right? But in reality, I should have really, because I was kind of unconsciously rejecting my mom, right? And her way of being and her feminine aspects. I just, I didn't realize it at the time, right? So really, embracing that femininity and that feminine side would have really served me. But of course, I wasn't aware of it at the time, right? So now, how can you be more feminine, right? What are some of the things that you can do today, okay? First of all, don't always follow the routine, right? If you have a nice routine set up, right? go ahead and step out of that every once in a while, right? Be spontaneous. And whenever you do go somewhere, just take it slow, you know, walk slowly, just, you know, feel your body, right? Step into your body. Being feminine is all about tapping into your intuition and tapping into all of your senses, right? And actually feeling and just being, right? Not doing, right? So that's one of my advices to you, right? Another one is, you know, embrace all the things that come with being feminine, you know, is, you know, wear flowery dresses, right? Wear, I don't know, flowy dresses, right? Dresses that kind of like feel good on your skin, right? Maybe it's a nice material like silk or something, right? So get some of those. Embrace your, you know, the feminine clothes, right? Embrace the lipstick. Embrace a little bit of makeup, right? Every once in a while. Embrace, you know, doing your hair, right? And just girly things, right? Also, you know, if you do have a boyfriend or a husband, right, just do less. Choose to do less. Ask him to take out the garbage, you know, ask him to do some work. Ask him to take care of you, you know, and, you know, ask him to you know, instead of doing, right? Let him handle it, you know. Guys are supposed to be doing, right? They're supposed to be more driven, more, they're supposed to be the go-getters, right? Not us women. Yes, a woman can be this way too, obviously, right? But like I said, it's not doing us any good in the long run, right? If we're constantly in that mode. So embrace your femininity, you know, go out there, you know, smell the flowers, slow down, right? Maybe grow a plant, you know, decorate your house. That also helps, you know, color it up. What else? Take a nice bubble bath so you can relax that nervous system, right? Um, I don't know, eat some chocolate and really, you know, savor it, right? Just feel its texture and its deliciousness, right? And just take it, you know, eat it really slowly, right? So no rushing, right? That's, you know, those are some of the key points that I will, I guess, recommend, right? And also, you know, if you are dating, you know, let a guy pay for you, you know, let him handle it. You know, if he wants to plan that date, just let him handle it. If he wants to take you somewhere, you know, and he's planning the whole date, then let him do it. You know, just sit back and relax and enjoy, you know. Just by being you, just by being in that mode, you know, you are not only doing yourself a lot of favors, right? But you also, you will end up being a joy to be around, you know. The guy will want to be around you because you'll be more fun, more playful, right? And he'll be a lot more attracted to you also, right? So that's another thing about being in your feminine energy, is that you will attract more masculine men to yourself, you know, and that is beautiful, right? You know, masculine is attracted to feminine, and feminine is attracted to masculine, right? So, you know, when you are in that mode, you're more likely to attract a masculine man to you as well. So yeah. What other tips can I give you? Perhaps play with animals, you know, dance with your kids if you have them, you know, go out dancing with your girlfriends if you have great friends, you know, talk to your friends, right? Be emotional, you know, share your feelings. Um, what else? Mm, yeah, and I guess that's all I've got for you for now, and I hope you really enjoyed this video, guys. And I will see you in my next video. Please subscribe and like. I will see you soon. Bye bye.